In the beginning there was no fire, and the world was cold. Then the Thunders, who lived in Galinlati, sent their lightning, and they put fire in the bottom of a hollow sycamore tree which grew on an island. The animals knew it was there because they could see the smoke rising out at the top. But they could not get to it on account of the water that separated them. So they held a council to decide what to do. Now this was all a long, long time ago. Every animal was anxious to go after the fire. Raven offered. He was large and strong, so he was sent first. He flew high and far across the water, and he lighted on the sycamore tree. There he perched, wondering what he should do next. Then he looked at himself. The heat had scorched his feathers black. Raven was so frightened he flew back across without any fire. Little Wahoo, the screech owl, offered to go. He flew high and far across the water, and he perched on a hollow tree. As he sat there looking into the hollow tree, wondering what to do next, a blast of hot air came up and hurt his eyes. Screech Owl was frightened. He flew back as best as he could because he could hardly see, and that is why his eyes are red even to this day. The Hooting Owl and the Horned Owl went, but by the time they reached the hollow tree, the fire was blazing so fiercely that it made white rings around their eyes. So they had to come home without fire, and therefore they have white rings around their eyes to this day. None of the rest of the birds would go to the fire. Then Uksahi, the racer snake, said he would go through the water and bring the fire back. He swam to the island, and he crawled through the grass to the tree. Then he went to the bottom of the tree and went into a small hole. But the heat and smoke were dreadful. The ground of the bottom of the tree was covered with ashes. The racer darted back and forth trying to get off the hot ashes, and at last he managed to escape through the same hole by which he had entered. But his body had been burned black, and that is why he is the Black Racer today. And that is why he darts around back and forth, doubling on his track as if he were trying to escape. Then the great black snake, the climber, offered to go for the fire. He was much larger than the Black Racer. Black Snake swam over to the island and climbed up the outside of the tree, as he always does. But when he put his head down into the hole, the smoke choked him, and he fell into the burning stump. Before he could climb out, he too was burned black. So the birds and the animals and the snakes held another council. The world was still very cold. There was no fire, but all the birds and snakes and four-footed animals refused to go to try to get the fire. They were all afraid of the burning sycamore. Then Water Spider said she would go. This is not the water spider that looks like a mosquito, but the other one, the one with the black downy hair and red stripes on the body. She could run on top of the water or dive to the bottom. The animal said, "How can you bring back fire?" But Water Spider spun a thread from her body and wove it into a tusti bowl, which she fastened onto her back. Then she swam over the water and went through the grass to the fire. Water Spider put one little coal of fire in her bowl, and then she swam back with it. And that is how fire came into the world. And that is why Water Spider has a tusti bowl on her back.